Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to take a very quick look at the game Simply Suspects. This game is for 2 to 6 players, ages 8 and up, and the average play time is between 15 and 30 minutes. Like Spy Alley, players are going to be taking on the role of a secret identity and will be attempting to eliminate others from the game by finding out their secret identity. However, in this game, players will be doing it in a slightly different manner. Let's just take a quick moment to look at the components and see how the game is played. As far as the components are concerned, you've got this giant game board here. Players will be moving their player pawns around the board in an attempt to eliminate each other. Now over here you've got this evidence tracker. There are 7 columns and they're numbered 1 through 7, and you've got the names of all of the people in the game. Evidence will be moving up and down this track via these black pegs over here, and this tracker will simply go in the middle like so before the game begins. Now you've got 2 decks of cards here. One is the suspect card deck. Each player will receive one of these so that they know what their secret identity is at the beginning of the game. And there's also a getaway card deck up here. Players will be collecting these and can use them for movement instead of rolling the dice. Setting up the game is pretty easy. Each player will pick a colored pawn and place it on the start space over here. After that, they'll take the 7 black pegs and place one in each of the 7 columns here at the very top. Finally, each player will deal themselves 1 suspect card. This will be the secret identity for each player in the game. Now it's important to note that the names on the evidence tracker are color-coded. For example, misdemeanor seems to have a like a light bluish green here as their color. It's important to stress that this has no relation whatsoever. The colors here have no relation to the colored pawns that players will be choosing to represent themselves. For example, if players happen to get the misdemeanor character as their secret identity, they would not pick the blue pawn. The whole goal of the game is to keep people guessing as far as who you are. So picking the same color as picking the same pawn color as the one on the evidence board will sort of give you away. So it's obvious that you don't want to do that. To determine the starting player, each player just simply rolls the die, and whoever has the highest number will get to go first. And play will proceed clockwise around the table. On a player's turn, they'll go ahead and roll the die and move their pawn that many spaces clockwise around the board. If they happen to have one of these getaway cards, and you'll be picking those up by landing on these getaway spaces, instead of rolling the die, you can play one of these cards to move your player pawn that exact number of spaces. Sort of like in Spy Alley, if you've ever played that. Alright, now the first important space that I want to call your attention to is this grand jury space. If your character has 2 or more pieces of evidence in their row, when you land on this space, you are automatically eliminated from the game. So the whole object is to keep evidence off of your character on this evidence tracker while placing evidence onto other characters that you think are owned by the other players. Basically, let's say that you are misdemeanor. You're going to be trying to keep evidence off of the misdemeanor row while placing them onto other characters that you suspect might be the identity of other players. If you suspect that player 2, for example, is this Vinny guy, you'll be trying to place as much evidence on this person as possible in the hopes that he himself will land on the grand jury space and eliminate himself. Now, if you happen to land on the grand jury space and you do have less than 2 pieces of evidence on your row, you can go ahead and make a guess if you want to. If you happen to guess the secret identity of another player, you actually will eliminate them from the game. However, if you're wrong, you yourself will be eliminated from the game. So only take that risk if you're sure that you know who the identity is of another player. So you're probably wondering at this point, how do I plant evidence onto another player on the evidence track, and how do I remove evidence from my own character if I'm in trouble? Well, there's spaces on the board, like number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. If a player happens to land their pawn on this space, they can go ahead and move that particular piece of evidence along this track anywhere they want to along that column. So let's say for the moment that this green pawn lands on number 3. Green would then pick up the peg under the number 3, wherever it happened to be, and they can place it wherever they want. Obviously, you'll be wanting to try to plant evidence on the people that you suspect are the identity of other players. Now, in order to remove evidence from your own track, you can either land on that number and move that evidence off of your row if you happen to be that person, or you can land on these character spaces here, like for example, Pearl E. White. Must remove 2 pieces from Pearl E. White. So if green happened to land on this space, you'd be moving up to 2 pieces of evidence off of this row onto a different row. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Players will keep taking turns until there's only one person left standing. And the person who was left standing is the winner of the game. And there you have it. This is just a very brief look at the game Simply Suspects. Like I was saying before, this game is similar to Spy Alley. Players will be trying to keep their identity hidden while trying to figure out the secret identity of other players. With that being said, you're going to have to be very observant in this game. Players are going to be constantly moving evidence around on this track, and you're going to be tasked with remembering who is planting evidence on what character, and more importantly, who is trying to keep evidence off of a particular character. So if a player in the game is trying to keep evidence off of Misdemeanor, more than likely that is their hidden identity. So you'll have to sort of pay attention and bluff other players into thinking that you're someone that you're not. You can check out the rest of my thoughts via my review at www.dadsgamingaddiction.com, or you can simply click on the link in the below description. That'll take you there as well. This is Vince, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.